So the last update that I gave you would have been week 2, the journey continues. What we're going to look at today is everything that I've been up to since launch. That's going to include what I've bought, achievements achieved, items, obviously my preparation, my plans for what I wanted to do, and have I achieved it. You can probably guess by the title that yes, I've achieved it, saying I've completed Wrath of the Lich King, but you know what I mean. I had a checklist of things that I wanted to do, and I've ticked all of them off and still got a couple of days spare. So one of the things that I obviously wanted to get in week 1 was the Red Protodrake, which it does require a little bit of luck, and that's mainly around getting the Lockdown achievement, which is just to kill all the bosses in Violet Hold. Technically, you could be waiting a while for that if you're unlucky. But you can see I achieved this on the 1st, so I've had the mount a couple of days now, and I'm really happy with it. And the other mount I'm really happy with is obviously getting my Traveler's Tundra Mammoth, which for any of you who have watched my sort of blog-style videos that I've done in the lead up to today, you know that I was farming gold primarily to sort out my professions very quickly, which we'll touch on that in a minute, and to obviously get the Tundra Mammoth, just because not having to worry about if you've got Symbols of Kings. If you run out, you just mount up, you buy Symbols of Kings outside, you know, and obviously repairing and everything else. You know, obviously I find it very useful because I'm normally lazy and forget things. At least with a mount, it doesn't matter. Reputation-wise, I've only got 1 left of the big 4, and I've still got a couple of heroics to actually do today. At the time of recording, I am in a group. We're just taking a little break. So I'm currently exalted with Argent Crusade, exalted with Kirantor, exalted with Knights of the Even Blade. I'm also exalted with Sons of Hodir, and as I say, I'm about halfway with Wormrest Accord, so that will definitely be finished tomorrow. Now, I've been doing one thing that I didn't really expect to really enjoy as much as I have, but if you don't know, I've been playing on a PvE server for a couple of years now. To be back on a PvP server, which is Thalles, by the way, it feels phenomenal, and I forgot how much I like open world PvP, and I've been doing a lot of it. In fact, I've been tailoring gear sets specifically for open world PvP, using things like explosive rockets on the gloves from engineering, stacking as much shield block value on items as possible just so my Shield of Righteousness can hit like an absolute truck. And all I'm actually after now for my shield block set to really maximize the amount of righteousness damage I'm doing is Lavenfor's Talisman, which hasn't actually dropped yet. I've seen Lavenfor a couple of times, but I've been pretty unlucky, and yeah, I haven't actually got the trinket. So most of the time, I'm running Darkmooncar Greatness, as you can see here, and sometimes Figurine Ruby Hair just for the sprint, but because I'm engineering, I've got rocket boosts anyway, so a lot of the time, I'm running around still using Corran's Lucky Coin, because the extra 200 block value for 40 seconds, and then with the 117 static block value of the shield on the trinket itself, it's really on par with Lavenfor Talisman. I'm getting less static shield block value, but more on use, which, you know, most of the time I'm using it when I'm just about to burst someone down. Now, in every one of these updates that I've done, the guild has been a very, very big part of the update, and we're actually looking really, really good with tons and tons of level 80s now, all in pre-raid bis. And in fact, we're going to do a midnight run. So at launch, we'll be going to do a Nax 25, well, clear all tier 7 content, 25 man. And then the following day, we've got another full raid team. So at the moment, we're sitting on just over 2 full raid teams that are prepared and ready to go. But am I ready to go? So I am pretty much full pre-raid bis. I'm going to make the engineering goggles, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not that bothered about them at the moment, but I will be making them probably today, in all fairness. But I'm literally stacked out, just ready to raid. This is actually my open world set, because I'm using the rocket gloves, as we were talking about earlier, but I've got both tier pieces. So if we look in the bag there, you can see ordinarily I'd be using the tier 7 gloves, and I'd be using the Cloak of the Enemy for the hit rating, instead of the shield block value, and obviously the parachute, which I don't really want. I'd much rather the defense on the cape, and then I've got a choice of lots of trinkets. So most of the time I'm going to be running Darkmooncar Greatness with either Figurine Monarch Crab, or if it's a heavy survival fight, I'll more than likely go for the Monarch Crab and Essence of Gossamer. But on the most part, the actual incoming damage that I take is so low that it just doesn't matter. I'm much better off doing big threat, which I really do. I absolutely pump. You know, if we're talking sort of heroic 5-mans, I'm normally beating most DPS. You know, the AoE, the cleave, where I've got so much shield block value, I've got so much strength, you know, it's mental. I'm absolutely loving it. Obviously, single target, I do over 3k DPS, which, you know, for a tank, pretty solid. So I touched on professions earlier. I'm not quite maxed on any of them. I mean, I was mining and jewel crafting, so I was flying around mining all the time, and obviously, well PvP and anyone who tried to take my mines, why not? But last night I decided to change to engineering because I couldn't live without my rocket boots and parachute combo anymore, and I just had to take the plunge. Even though it set me back 3.5k. That's why my character looks pretty poor at the moment. In terms of the guild as well, I've got to say one of the most fun things we've done is waiting for Darkmoon Fair to launch. We was there a couple of minutes minutes before it actually popped, because we had a full raid team basically waiting just to hand in their Darkmoon car greatness, which was a phenomenal effort from everyone involved, because we basically made sure that all our tanks, all our big pumpers, everyone who needs it, including Holy Paladins, all had a Darkmoon card ready to hand in as soon as the fair went live. And we turned it into a bit of an event. We were stood outside dueling, just having a bit of fun. But it was quite a memorable night. But just to reiterate, when I've been duo streaming, or even if I've been solo streaming over on twitch.tv/Scottejaye87, come give me a follow. The most fun I've been having is just flying around mining and just open world PvP, because honestly, in my gear and the way it's set up, I am an absolute unit, if I don't mind saying so myself. One really annoying thing is there's only 2 days left of Brewfest, and in the last 4 to 5 days, I've done it every single day and still not even seen a mount drop, let alone win one. I've just not seen one drop. I don't feel like I'm going to get one this event, which is pretty sad, but fingers crossed. Still, well, 1 more day? 2 more days. 2 more days. So like I mentioned earlier, I've got basically everything that I could possibly want from emblems outside of getting some of the Savage PvP gear, to the point where I'm actually getting ready to start taking this ult pretty seriously, because I am running out of things to do quite quickly. Obviously, I've got a lot of achievements to do and stuff like that, which will be my focus, but I desperately need an ult for ult runs for the guild. But I've actually already bought the heirloom trinket, the other trinket from Stonekeeper shards, the heirloom chest, heirloom shoulders, heirloom weapon. So this warrior is just pimped out and ready to go, and it absolutely claps. So I can't wait to actually really get stuck into this. Probably, which I'm going to do a lot of over the weekend, actually, on stream, so feel free to stop by and say hello. I've also been working on my Holy set, which, to be fair, I've pretty much got a full 200 eye level setup of Holy gear, and started working on the PvP gear, just from abusing Wintergrass while it was broke. Or I don't want to say it was broke, because they hotfixed it, but it technically wasn't broke. It just wasn't working how it should have worked. But yeah, I still do Wintergrass, and I absolutely love that as well, other than the lag. I don't know if you lag, but I literally can't even dismount sometimes when I first get in there. So, but I am doing that as well, just to get as much PvP gear as possible, to 2v2 in arena as Holy in 2s, and in 3v3 we're doing double prot Elemental Shaman. That's going to be an interesting comp. Outside of the obvious things like doing my fishing daily, cooking daily, jewel crafting daily, and actually taking part in the fishing tournaments every week, trying to get that salty title, that's about it. I would say that's where I'm at. It's been a great first week of launch, and obviously once the raids become active this week, it's just going to get better and better. And once I can raid on 2 characters instead of just being limited to 1, that's going to be even better as well. So that's an update from me. If you wondered why I've not been streaming much or anything like that, it's because I've just been enjoying the game with a guild, and I fully intend on it being that way for the long term, you know, as in I will still stream a few times a week, but I'm not going to sit on stream 8, 10, 12 hours a day, because I'd much rather, you know, spend that time keeping the cohesion in the guild alive, you know, and everyone enjoying themselves and really being part of it, rather than it being a spectacle on stream, if you know what I mean. So yeah, apologies if you're used to me streaming ridiculous amounts and I'm not. It purely is because I'm just trying to enjoy the game and not ruin it for myself by streaming 14 hours a day like I did at the launch of TBC. So that's an update from me. Enjoy. Roll the outro. There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes. Everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos, because you get a nice icon next to your name. And you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.